ELEX is an open-world action RPG which provides a comically bad first impression. The intro narration is thoroughly uninspiring, consisting of the most dry prose and bland world-building. And when we drop into the game proper, our main character is pretty brain-dead, demonstrating little capacity for rational thought. He has issues counting to 2, it seems like, let alone adding 2 and 2 together. It doesn't help matters that the dialogue is bizarre, awkward, and rarely flows naturally. Some of this is intentional, but much of it is simply poor writing. ELEX cares a great deal about fostering a consistent, believable world, but fails spectacularly to deliver in many ways, even right out of the gate. You're told early on that if you side with the Berserker clan, for example, they'll take care of you and protect you, but that of course you must also earn your keep. Neither of these things are true, though. I walked into the Berserker town of Goliath with someone chasing me, intending my murder, and nobody batted an eye. All the guards just watched as I was assaulted. Thankfully, entering dialogue caused my assailant to somehow spontaneously lose interest, because the AI is quite moronic. I spent a good while experimenting with the AI's limitations, and the results were troubling. The aggro mechanics are rudimentary at best, the enemies have little capacity for strategizing, and they'll stand around dumbfounded if you climb out of reach, until they suddenly remember some 10 seconds later that they do have guns. But sad as it is to say, most of these flaws are standard for the genre, and they do little to speak of ELEX's heart. At its core, ELEX is a relic of an old world. I didn't see this at first, and I was equally confused why the developers advertise it as vintage. But comparing it to most modern ARPGs reveals the truth. ELEX cares so much about player agency, about building a real world with real choices, and it puts in the work most of the time. To start, the environments in ELEX are a sight to behold. It is truly rare to find a work which cares so deeply about its setting as to make every location feel natural, dense, and wondrous all its own. The graphics are lush, and the science fantasy aesthetic is beautiful in its anachronistic flair. I spent the opening hours wandering the mystical forests, only to come starkly upon a modern road, bombarded by its cold, cracked pavement and screeching jets soaring overhead. The juxtaposition is fantastic. Actually exploring the environments is equally engaging, thanks not only to the jetpack mechanic, but the staggering lack of borders. You can go just about anywhere at any time. Some people may try to stop you, but they can't truly if you're determined enough. I wandered much of the world for hours on end without need to swing my weaponry, not because the enemies were unthreatening, but because I used my words, wits, and agility to solve conflicts, not brute force. This is not a game where one jumps in, slaughters foes, and piles up loot. Everything has a real cost and must be earned. And as much as ELEX's countless inhabitants may speak in inhuman tongues, they are not lacking character. Everyone has a story or three to tell, and all offer distinct perspectives on the world they live in and its many cultures. ELEX tells a story about freedom, and asks what freedom means. All the clans may call themselves free people, but none are truly free. They're all bound. If not bound by duty and law, then bound by religion, and if not bound by religion, then by the fear for one's life in a highly combative, individualist society. I was briefly taken aback in the city of Goliath when I opened my quest menu and someone shouted, "Hey, put that away! Technology isn't welcome here!" And then I hid myself away from then on before checking my quests, lest I rouse the suspicion and ire of the local lawmen. It was a beautiful moment which reminded me of the plight these people suffer, and to a degree, the boxes we all force ourselves into. But then it comes crashing down when I smash my face into ELEX's game mechanics and programming oddities. I was not very happy when I was asked if I murdered anyone, truthfully answered no, and the game would not let me insist on my honesty. Why? Because my suggestion skill was apparently too low. My suggestion is not high enough to speak the words, "No, I was telling the truth." And sure, ELEX will technically let you wander everywhere you like, but you're liable to break the scripting, character dialogue, and many other mechanics in the process. It feels like ELEX wants me to enjoy an open, real world with meaningful choice, just not that much choice. I was acting with too much agency, apparently. This is a complicated game, and I can't justifiably label it good or bad. That suits me just fine, since I dislike those labels to begin with. I can say that I had a strange, memorable experience, which is far better than most titles in this genre. Games like Witcher 3 feel mechanical, stifled, and have uninspiring and restrictive progression, but ELEX let me forge my own way in its bizarre setting, at least for a while.